This project is going to be putting the plywood on the front of the bunk beds. About half of it will be covered fully, and then the other half is gonna have holes for the kids to get in. So I'm gonna work now on the bottom one first, and then I'll work on the top one. Now the top one is gonna have to have a piece sticking out this way because the mini split will be there. So I need the backing for the mini split to mount on. I'm trying to put the mini split in the middle of the bus so we can only use one mini split. We don't need two because I don't have room for a second one. So for a second condenser outside. So that one is going to be a little tricky because it's got to have a piece sticking out, where the bottom one is just going to be a rectangle. Over here I have a 1/2 inch thick birch plywood. I had to go to a lumber yard to get it, a lumber supplier, because Home Depot or Lowe's do not have a nice finish 1/2 inch plywood. They only have, that's this big. They have them in like 2x4 or 4x4. They don't have in 4x8. All right, and I got my track in place. I cut out one piece the right length, and I've marked with the lines everywhere I need to cut where I need to cut the opening and so forth. And I want to round the corners of the opening. So I did this hole saw. This is like a 6-inch hole saw. I made this template. I cut it out with a hole saw and then I sanded it. So now I'm going to use that as the guide and use my router to route this. I think that's going to turn out better than doing directly hole saw on the plywood here. I actually have to flip this around to use one of these with a bearing. For example, I can use this guy. It has a bearing, but the bearing is on the bottom, so it needs to be flipped around. So I drilled a hole in here so I can put the router bit. Now that I've cut out the 4 holes for the corners, I put the track over here to cut the line with the router also, and I'll do the same thing on all 4 sides. I cut off the middle of the hole with jigsaw just so there is no weight on the plywood when I cut one side. Here's the opening for the bottom bunk. I need to do some other cutting here. And now I put a different router bit that can make a rounded corner. I'm gonna go on both sides on the hole so it's not the sharp edge. Now I'm going to use a random orbit sander with 320 grit sandpaper. So I'm gonna put some of these crack jig pocket holes on one side because it doesn't have any backing to screw straight into, so I'm gonna be screwing them sideways. So I using 1.25 inch long screws, and I set my drill bit as well as the clamp to the 1/2 inch mark because the thickness of the plywood is 1/2 inch. So that's on the inside. I'm gonna do another one over here, because over here it's gonna be screwing straight in to the stud. So let's do it like this. And then over here I'm gonna have a stud. So everything else gonna go in the stud from the front. Yes, so I'm good. So I got a countersink drill bit, because I'm gonna screw this around with wood screws, and also glue it with construction adhesive. I marked all around where I'm gonna put the screws. What I got over here is Gorilla Max Strength Clear Construction Adhesive that I'm gonna first put on the bunk bed all around. I've marked over here where the board is gonna end, and that's 1 3/4 from either end of the stud, because that's a halfway. Because the top piece of plywood needs to be there as well, the other half. So I'm marking a few spots so I know where to put the adhesive. Okay, so I come over here. Now I'm going to put adhesive on the edge here, because the plywood is going to butt against it. I should have peeled those stickers off. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm propping it up. I'm lining it up with a mark that I put, and I'm gonna hit it with a brad nail. That way I can line it up on the other side and hit it with a brad nail here. Okay, now it's getting held up, it's the right height, and I can come here with my screws. I got some deck screws here that I have from other projects. And I'm starting from one corner and I'm gonna go out. So I'm gonna go down first. And I'm doing that because that's gonna stretch the plywood. And now I'm gonna do the top side out from the corner. And now I'm gonna do the pocket holes here. Now over here, this veneer got peeled, so I'm gonna have to probably put some wood filler there and sand it. Gotta sand these screw holes here. I have done the top bunk as well. Very similar to the bottom one. The difference is it's a little bit wider, so we can put a ladder over here or something for kids to climb. And then this left side is actually sticking out. That's gonna be above the fridge because that's where the mini split is going to be. So I needed a board for the mini split. So I have it sticking out that way. And then I have in the top here, wherever I had the studs in the ceiling, I had pocket hole screws going into the studs, and as well as construction adhesive.